Okay, I'm going to tell you in a super easy, condensed way how to rewrite your soul contract. So this is just the most basic way. And if you need additional support, you can reach out at lovelikeanocean.com. But I'm going to break it down for you right here. So first you notice the undesirable pattern. And the way that psychics tell the future is often through pattern recognition. So we can read patterns, we can read the energy, and we can read the velocity and the momentum behind that pattern. So based off of that information, we say, oh, if you continue at the rate that you're headed, with the behavior that you're headed, in 5 months, this is going to happen, or whatever. So you kind of evaluate yourself and you see where you're headed, right? And you see, oh, either, I have this negative pattern in relationships, or this certain disease runs in my family, or whatever you foresee where you're headed that you don't want, right? And you also think about, what kind of soul contracts you signed up for, because we all choose our soul's curriculum before we come here. We choose what kind of trauma we want to overcome. We choose what kind of lessons we're learning, what kind of family we incarnate into, what our relational patterns are like, and so you kind of evaluate your life. And then if there's something that you see that you're like, why does this always happen to me? And you see that there's a certain momentum and a pattern around it, this is likely a part of your contract. So what you would do is you would write it out as a contract. You would say, for example, say that your contract is to rehabilitate men who had bad mothers. So you only date men who had bad mothers, right? So you're dating immature, irresponsible men with mother issues. So the contract would say I am bound to dating and rehabilitating men with mommy issues, right? Okay, or whatever. You can write it out as specific as you want and write it present tense and write it as a positive affirmation because that's what's actually happening. And then you would want to write void over that. And then you would want to rip that up and burn it. And then you would want to rewrite a contract. And you can say, I choose to embody my most authentic vibration. And I am surrounded by people who reflect to me sovereignty and joyful co-creation, or whatever. You make up what you actually want in your life. So you learn the lesson. You don't need to learn that lesson anymore. You broke through, and you can rewrite the contract. You can get out of it. So you always want to replace the contract with something positive. So whenever you remove a negative energy, a disease, a negative contract, you always want to make sure that you replace it with something positive. And you sign your name on that. And you can rewrite your contracts as many times as you want. So you are a sovereign creator. You're co-creating with the all, and you get to make up your life. And even if you were born into a certain kind of family or born into a certain kind of pattern, you are infinitely creative and you have access to all the wisdom in the world. And the best way to access that wisdom is through your own heart. And I hope that helps. And if you need additional support with any of that, you can reach out to me at lovelikeanocean.com. And thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your comments.